as a Democrat, I am waiting for the Democratic response to come out. You know, get some spine, as you said, get some spine and stop the whine.
Donald Trump's own family is sounding the alarm about his insane behavior. Take a look at this.
I think what scares a lot of people, there are no, to use the word in vogue, guardrails anymore. Just think of the people that he is now surrounding himself with. There's no General Kelly, there's no General Mattis, there's Stephen Miller and Tom Homan and God, Rudy Giuliani coming back. That should scare anybody.
And that was before the election. Now that Donald Trump has made good on his retribution campaign and is going on an absolute tear against his enemies, Fred Trump III is back on MSNBC to shed some light on just how horrible his uncle is.
A glimpse of what will continue to happen with this retribution tour, but, you know, what do you think of what we've seen so far in this first week?
It really is no surprise to me and shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. We've seen this literally since the day he left the White House. He will go after anybody who is not for him or jumps on board. And what was said there about his cabinet picks, yeah, I mean, they will go out there and primary anyone who goes against his wishes.
You know, Trump has always been a petty man. A lot of people have described him that, but I'm curious to get your thoughts. What other rationale could be applied for why he has stripped the security detail of people whose lives are genuinely in danger, people like John Bolton, Mike Pompeo, Anthony Fauci?
It really comes back to the same thing in my mind. And the interesting one to me is Fauci. I don't remember Fauci coming out there and saying he did a terror. I mean, he is a very thoughtful gentleman.
Yeah.
Bolton may be a different story. He's out there. But Fauci did a great job, has done great work for this country, but it didn't work out for Donald. You know, some of the blame got assigned to Donald, which I believe rightfully so. Fauci may have even taken the spotlight away from Donald for a while. I mean, he was out there in front every day.
What a perfect call out for the reason why Donald Trump hates Anthony Fauci. Now, people might have their complaints on how Fauci dealt with the pandemic. There's been a lot of speculation recently about whether or not Fauci knew or suspected that COVID came from a lab leak. But his response to the pandemic was absolutely spot on. He emphasized the importance of social distancing and masking, which is scientifically proven to reduce the spread of respiratory illnesses like COVID-19. He didn't back down to Trump's demands to stop these practices, and he took a lot of the limelight away from Trump, and the big baby throws an absolute tantrum when the spotlight is on anybody but him. Textbook narcissist behavior.
In 2022, the DOJ charged a member of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in a plot to kill Bolton, likely in retaliation for the Trump administration's killing of an Iranian general back in 2022. As you were saying, Fauci's been subject to death threats, part of the MAGA conspiracy world. But, you know, let me play for you what he said about this. Watch, about Fauci. Take a listen.
Would you feel partially responsible if something were to happen to, say, Dr. Fauci or John Bolton?
No. You know, they all made a lot of money. They can hire their own security, too.
The question is about their safety and security as people who worked in government and served American interests, including somebody like Bolton, who, you know, worked for a Trump administration that killed an Iranian general. Right. And now he's basically throwing them out there on their own, saying, hey, you should take care of your own security.
Yeah. And I'll go back to Fauci. I mean, here's a man who dedicated his life's work to saving American lives. OK, how many? I can't tell you. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions.
Yeah.
But he did that. He did it under the radar up until COVID. But his reputation in the circles I travel is pretty. He's an astute, generous with his time and his career helping this country.
Do you think he went after these people because they are high profile and sends a chilling message to others? I mean, do you think this is going to continue with people that are lower names, but people he will still want to go after?
Look,
there's no end to his.
No, there is no. John Bolton's on TV all the time.
Right.
Okay.
And that probably irks him and drives him crazy.
It may.
Yeah.
But John Bolton is out there all the time. Fauci, I don't understand because he's gone off. Maybe he wrote a book. Okay, great.
He's out of the public limelight. He's not talking about you.
No, he's not. So Why that has to get stripped, I don't understand. Who knows if Fauci's going to be needed in the future?
Now, I'm not going to shed a tear if John Bolton gets a late-night visit from the Iranians, but it is shocking that Donald Trump is willing to pull security details from his enemies, because as he showed with the Jan 6 pardons, he's completely okay with his base committing violence against his enemies. Now that Fauci doesn't have a security detail, who's to stop some crazy MAGA anti-vax loser from taking out their frustrations on Fauci? Trump wants to make it as dangerous as possible to oppose him. He wants there to be fear amongst government officials that Donald Trump can put a target on anybody's back. And once you leave the security of the job, you're on your own. There's a rabid base of red hat wearing Nazis out there willing to rip you apart at a Truth Social post notice. These are the tools and tactics of a fascist dictator. I get the feeling that Dumpy Don isn't going out as easy this second time, seeing as last time when it came down to it, his vice president was willing to stand up to him. But this time, the Republicans seem way more in line with his craziness.
When you think about the Republicans in Congress right now, you kind of see them all falling by the wayside to back Donald Trump, even with the pardons of January 6th, no spines among any of them. Now you have somebody like Elon Musk with like billions of dollars willing, with the press of a button, to primary and challenge any of these Republicans who may dare to stand up to Donald Trump. So you have this, like, not only this public fear that is being whipped up by Donald Trump, you now have a financial backer who's willing to take those words of Donald Trump and challenge and browbeat anyone who challenges Donald
for
Trump.
Sure. And I'm just waiting for someone in Congress to say, it's worth it to keep my principles primary away.
It's pretty wishful thinking on your part.
I know, it's Sunday night. Is it that great to be in Congress? I mean, when someone says they want to stay in Congress and give up their principles, well, maybe they're in it for the money also.
What is it? What is the grip that he has? How do you explain this ability to have a grip over these types of people? I mean, again, you're talking about politicians who in their own right are powerful, and they should be some of these Senate members that have been there for years. They have their own followings in their constituencies, and yet Donald Trump has come in and managed to completely overpower them.
Overpower is the word. Yeah. He came out in 2015 as the populist. People bought into it. People love it. And I have to say, as a Democrat, I am waiting for the Democratic response to come out. Get some spine, as you said, get some spine and stop the whine. We need a leader, first of all, the Democratic Party. It's just hodgepodge right now. And I know we'll wait until the next election cycle. That's too late. Somebody's got to get in there and start fighting back, if you will.
I hate to say it, but I have to agree with him. The only reason why Donald Trump was able to make his populist move in 2015, which is all rhetoric, he doesn't actually pass any populist policies, but that gap was left open because the Democratic Party completely abandoned its progressive populist coalition. They've thrown Bernie Sanders under the bus for Hillary Clinton, and Nancy Pelosi has been doing everything she can to stop AOC's influence. The truth of the matter is, complaining about how bad Trump is not going to win us any more elections. I hate to agree with a Trump, but he's right. The Democratic Party needs to coalesce around an individual leader who understands the messaging game, who can talk about grocery prices and gas prices and individual freedoms in a way that's going to point the blame at the Republican Party as a whole, to make the American people realize that the Republicans are the problem and the Democrats are the solution. Unfortunately, we're just getting a lot of dirt kicking and I told you so's, both of which don't exactly build confidence for the Democratic Party. We can't wait for another presidential election. We've got 2 years to the midterms in order to make a serious dent in the Republicans' power, and we'll be here every step of the way. I'm Tony Hinderman with Really American, and I'll catch you next time.